Yep. Yes. So Monday you could bring a book or come later, a little bit late. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So the chapter title, it's a small word, sin. What does that mean? Sin means
Transgression?
huh?
Transgression?
Transgression. Okay, Alyssa. Go against the will of God, which is what transgression means. Transgress means it's a little bit like trespass, which is another word for sin. You know what trespassing means. You're somewhere where you're not supposed to be. It belongs to someone else. That kind of doesn't really work for God, because God wants us to be in his creation. But transgress, that means to go against something. So how do you know if you're going against something? Can sin be, does that mean you did something wrong? Wrong? Yes? How do you know if you did? Do I have this on here even? Whoops. Okay, I don't. How do you know if something's wrong? You get punished. Where's that? Okay. Yeah, the mysterious voice. You get punished. Is anyone ever punished for something that they did, but it wasn't wrong? The punishment's wrong. Yeah. Right. Especially if you have little brothers and sisters and you got blamed for what they did because they're little and you're not. That ain't right. So that's wrong. Okay. So present day worldview, in an evolutionary, one-dimensional worldview, materialism only. Does that word make any sense? Sin? What's a sin? Right. So in this worldview, and this is where we're at, remember that might makes right. If it works for you, then that's right. That's right enough. In this worldview, is it right if it does harm to someone else? You ever heard that thing? You can do whatever you want as long as you're not hurting anybody else. Yes? Okay. You heard of victimless crimes. Yes? Can you name for me? Can you tell me what a victimless crime is? Would suicide be a victimless crime? Because you know it's against the law. It's actually against the law. You're not allowed to do that. If you take your own life, the police will come and arrest you. And you better go to jail. That's right. Don't mess with that. It is against the law because you shouldn't do it. Okay. Is it a victimless crime though? Nobody else is hurt, correct? Just you, right, Matthew?
Yeah, but you still be a victim of your own doing.
Yeah, but nobody else is a victim. That's the point. Victimless, yes?
I think other people will be impacted by it.
Oh, there's that thing. What about other people that care about you? What about other people that depend on you? Right? What, in all kinds of ways. Okay. So things kind of actually don't work out over here, because anytime you're doing what you feel like doing in this worldview, it tends to have a negative impact on other people, which eventually comes back to having a negative impact on you. But what's the basis for saying it's wrong? You die, you're dead, you're gone, it's over. There's no God, there's no afterlife, there's no soul. So there's only, how's it working out for me now? So some people, and I ordered some brown markers so I could do this. Some people carry over into this world, right? Ideas and ways that this worldview works, so they carry it over. And so they have a sense of right and wrong. And it seems to feel better when you do right than when you do wrong, right? You do a good thing for someone, they benefit, you feel good about that. You do harm to someone, you hurt them, and you might feel bad about that. Maybe you don't. What do you call a person who does harm to other people and doesn't feel bad about it? There's actually a diagnosis word. Yeah, sociopath. right? That is problematic because they're doing all sorts of problems here and they don't feel bad about it, kind of a thing. Okay, in this world, yes, there's right and wrong because you have design, which tells you how things are supposed to work, and there are consequences for when you do something the opposite of the way it's supposed to work. Is water cheaper than gasoline? Okay, so it would be cheaper to put water in the gas tank of your car than gas in the gas tank of your car. Yes? Yes. How do you know that's a mistake? That's the wrong thing to do. Because the car won't run. And then even if you took the water out and put the gas in the car, still won't run. And you take it to your mechanic and he says, what the heck you putting water in there for? Right? That's the wrong thing to do. And because it got into the engine, now you've got lots of problems. Okay. And you can actually look at the trouble it made for you. Okay. Is God angry when you put water in the gas tank of your car? I just didn't care to have a car. Probably prefer if you didn't have it, but it's not the end of the world. Okay, so there's moral issues when it comes to doing wrong, and then there's just making mistakes in a world that has design throughout. Okay, so let me have you, Nick, number 1, please.
Why don't things always work the way we want them to?
Well, let's pause a minute. Nick, does everything in your life always work the way you want it to? Okay, does that tell you anything important? Like if you thought, man, everything doesn't work the way I want it to, what does that mean?
It's not going to go your way.
Why not? You're right. You're doing excellent. Why not? Why isn't everything always going to go your way? You're George Clooney, I think everything goes your way. Or George Lucas. Huh?
George Lopez.
Who's that? Okay, time's up, Nick. Ready, go. Why doesn't everything go the way you want it to? Anyone? Alyssa,
Because it wasn't meant to happen.
how do you know it wasn't meant to happen? You're doing good. Keep going.
It wasn't meant to happen because it didn't happen. So like, it's not part of God's plan for you.
Whose plan?
God's
Oh, I thought I was God. That's the thing that's confusing me. Yes? If you were God, then you would expect everything to go the way you want it to, right? And you're going to get a free coffee card. You're on fire today, like it's contagious. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Right. So why don't things always work the way we want them to? Nick, can you read the other 3 points?
A, what we want is wrong. B, what we're doing is wrong. C, what someone else is doing is wrong against it.
Does that make sense? So things might not work the way I want them to if I'm mistaken about what I'm trying to do, or I'm doing what I'm trying to do, but I'm doing it badly, or someone else. Sometimes what's wrong in your life is the product of what someone else is doing. Okay. Let's see, where are we? India, please.
What makes anyone think something is wrong or sin?
Keep going.
Why not just accident or mistake or just accept as natural?
What do you think, India? Do you drive a car, India?
No.
No? Way to go. Good job. What's an example? Has anyone ever done wrong to you?
Yes.
Like what? Can you give us an example?
Schools and store whatever I want.
There you go. Sounds like my middle school. What makes that wrong?
Because it wasn't made in the first place, and they didn't have personal privacy.
And what gives you a claim to personal privacy or property?
Because it's mine.
Is it yours if you can't keep it?
It's still mine.
Now, if you can't keep it, I can take it away from you. Now it's mine. Welcome to Red Pyramid world. Yes. Yeah. And what's even, there are some people that are so clever that they'll get you to give it to them. So you think that was your idea, but now it's theirs and not yours, but you think that was your idea. That's even worse, right? So stealing is one thing. That's a whole nother level of stealing. Okay, I agree with you, that's the wrong thing. I can't tell you how many sets of gym clothes I went through in junior high because I kept going through my locker. What happened to them? Like, who steals gym clothes? What do you even want them for? Okay. Slater. 2B.
There's a little difference to take on the level of wrong and then a moral quality threshold.
Yeah, so Slater, how is it that the school administration gets involved and the law enforcement, the police might be called, and we're gonna get to the bottom of this. Who took India's stuff out of her locker, right? But something else might be involved too. Yes, someone might show up and say, yeah, and what about God? So the police and the government's one level of issue you got to deal with, but then there's a God who watches over this sort of thing too, yes? You think God cares when people take suckers out of little kids' mouths? Did you ever steal little kids' Halloween candy? No? My kids. So they go, no, you sift through it. I don't care if they have the stuff I don't want. But anyway, do you think God likes that kind of thing? No, I think he gets really upset about this, right? Okay, right. What's the difference between making a mistake and making war, Kobe? I made a mistake, I made war. Yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting answer. Okay, so you play a sport, Kobe? Volleyball. Okay. Is it a mistake if the opponent comes over the net and smacks you in the head with the downbeat here? Is that a mistake? That's not supposed to happen, right? Right, and it could be accidental, yes.
Yeah.
It could, you get all excited and it happens, right? Yeah, sure. That's a different thing than if the opponent comes under the net and attacks you. Yeah, right. There's a whole different level of consciousness going on here. What I'm trying to do here. Then all the you've seen this at sporting events, right? Then the bench is clear and it just turns into a big fight. That's why hockey is a more honest sport, because that's a fight from the start. Sometimes there's peaceful moments, but it's mostly just a big fight. Okay. Difference between consequences and punishment, Emily Rash. What's the difference between consequences and punishment? Okay, so Emily, you were driving your car and you were texting and you ran me over on my bicycle. The consequence of you texting was you ran me over on my bicycle, right? It's okay. I got a big insurance policy in my life. My wife's super grateful. Thanks for getting me rid of that guy. Okay, but the police are gonna come and now you're gonna go to prison for the rest of your life. That's punishment. Consequence, punishment, yes?
Yeah.
Okay. What if punishment goes beyond this lifetime? What if there's a punishment at the level of the soul that keeps going forever? What's that about? Okay. Consequences, are they arbitrary, Kira? Are consequences and punishment arbitrary and arbitrarily imposed?
It is arbitrary.
Yeah, it means there's no necessary relationship or organic relationship between the two. So for example, consequences. Is there a physics, time and space relationship between Emily texting while she's driving and me getting run over?
Yeah, it is.
Right?
Yeah.
Sure. It's not like cars drive past me and I fall over and die. No, they didn't hit me, I'm fine. Okay. So consequences are never arbitrary, correct? You hit yourself in the head with a hammer, it's going to hurt. It's not like God's up in heaven going, I don't like that what you did, so I'm going to smack you with something. It's not like that. Punishment, though, is punishment ever arbitrarily imposed? Did you ever do anything wrong as a kid? Did you get the timeout chair? No. What'd you get, Victor?
A bell.
A bell?
Yeah.
Don't, please, people, do not use a bell on kids. So you're gonna put a stop to that, right? Victor?
Yeah.
You know the game racquetball, right?
Yeah.
Before racquetball, it was paddleball. Heard of that? Paddleball, paddle, wood, flat wood paddle, and it has holes drilled in it. So it makes this cool whooshing sound. That's what you want. Because it will never do damage. It won't do damage. This is very soft back here, and it's very flat. But the best part is the whoosh. It's like, oh, here it comes, whoosh. It stings. Okay. That's arbitrarily imposed, right? There's nothing about my kid running in the street for the 5th time after I told her not to that connects with me with the whoosh and the smack and the ow, okay? Except maybe there is. Why does that make sense to me? You've all heard that there should be some relationship, yes? Disciplining children. Wait, that's a new word. I didn't use that word yet. Consequences, punishment, discipline, what's that? Emily.
It's like the discernment between right and wrong. It's like the discipline of knowing when to apply certain things.
Yes, and what's the difference then between knowing when to apply certain things and the things you apply? What's the difference then between discipline and punishment?
Punishment is something you receive like after you've already committed something.
Yes.
Versus when you use discipline, could also be a form of after you've done something. It could be also a form of that, but it's more of a moral conscience telling you right and wrong.
Okay, so discipline is training. It's getting in the way of you experiencing punishment because you did something that we can't recover from. Okay, now here's an interesting moment for our class. All punishment for everything ever hit this person right there, 2,000 years ago. All the punishment took place right there. There is no more punishment waiting for anyone. It's all gone. And in place of that punishment, among other things, forgiveness, all forgiven. Before you do the next thing wrong, it's already been forgiven. Okay? It's like trying to get hot when you're swimming in 60-degree water. I'll guarantee you, you will not be getting hot or sweaty or dirty. You may be working hard, but you're not getting hot or sweaty or dirty. That's the context that God puts us in. This is punishment. So everything else happening in between isn't punishment. God doesn't punish anyone. Discipline. Discipline is intervention. Okay, so what does my paddle have to do with my daughter running in the street? Do you know what it feels like to get hit by a car? You don't want to know what it feels like. I know what it feels like to get hit by a car. Okay, so what am I doing? If a car hits my child, what control do I have over that? I have no control over that whatsoever. So I'm going to give my daughter an experience before that happens that will give her insight into, yes, this is what it's going to feel like if you run into the street in front of a car. And it works. Okay. How about drowning? Stay out of the water, right? You don't know how to swim yet. I told the same kid, I told her that. Turn my back, look back, she's under the water like this. Her eyes are real big. I didn't know drowning people look like that. I said, see, I told you this would happen. And then I pulled her out of the water. So now that one she got all on her own. I didn't have to do anything. But anyway, so not arbitrary. It's not arbitrary. There should always be an organic relationship with what's going on. This is a whole lot of stuff here. Look at how small the print is. Okay, let's see if we can get somewhere. This one. Kendall, read this red ink.
Is it sin, impenitence, or will, or our disposition, or our will that is problematic?
Okay, in the great scheme of things, Kendall, three-dimensional green V worldview, is this really the problem with what's going on? People doing what's wrong, the Bible calls it sin. No. Why? Because there's a future, there's a restoration promise, right? If you go into your science lab and you make a mistake and the experiment doesn't work out, does the earth open up and swallow you? The police don't come, the SWAT team? No. The science lab, that's no more science. No, yeah, we prepared for that. We'll put those materials aside and we'll start over again. This one, you know what this means, Kendall? This means I'm not one bit sorry. I know that I did wrong and I'm not sorry. Now we're back to the sociopath thing, right? Is it our will? And in this model, we don't assume a free will. My will is bound. Have you ever had to premeditate saying the wrong thing? Been having a nice morning over coffee with my wife. It's really just super pleasant. Coffee's good. Thinking about what could I say that would just really hack her off. Is that how that works? No, it just comes out. And then you're trying to, right, like unsend an email you shouldn't have sent. Actually, sometimes you can do that. Okay, so no, it's just there. That's understood too, right? 2-year-olds are going to make messes, correct? It's just they're on autopilot, they're mess makers. Okay, that's not the problem. We can clean up the mess. The disposition, like the impenitence. So notice we can kind of make a distinction between ourselves. This is not the essence of the person. This is the essence of the person, hopefully. Okay, so we need to take measures to minimize the trouble that a corrupt body's making in this world for itself, for other people. But we still see through that body, both to the redeeming work that Jesus did. So he's our substitute. So we take away the guilt piece of it and the punishment piece of it. And we're trying to work on this, the soul side of the equation, which can be regenerated, which can be empowered and made strong, which will help us deal with this corrupt body. Okay, let's get on. That's too much small print. Okay. Jordan.
So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food and delight for eyes, and that the tree was to be desired to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate, and she also gave some to her husband and to eat.
Okay, Jordan, according to the Bible, who did the first bad thing? Jordan, you look nervous. Jordan, who did the first bad thing? Yeah, the woman did it. What did she do that was bad? Come on. What'd she do that was bad? She ate fruit. Oh, are you kidding me? That doesn't sound right, does it? Eve eats some fruit from a fruit tree. Now everything, the whole rest of humanity and creation goes terrible. Something sounds wrong about that, right? If it said, and Eve took from the vaping tree and started vaping, okay, I get that. Or from the methadone tree and started doing meth. Okay, I get that. It's fruit, for heaven's sake. What's the problem? Okay, so something right up front says, I don't know about this. Okay. So wait a minute, Cam. It's really small. Can you read it?
No, I can. It's just the thing.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
the COVID barrier.
Now the serpent was more
Subtle.
than any other wild creature that the Lord God had made. He said to the woman, did God say, you shall not eat any tree of the garden? And the woman said to the serpent, we may eat of the fruit of the trees of the garden, but God said, you shall not eat of the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, neither shall you touch that. You die. But the serpent said to the woman, you will not die.
Okay, so something happened before 3 verse 6. So Cam, according to what you read, who sinned first?
The woman?
No, not the woman. Who's the troublemaker here? Yeah, that goddamn snake, right? That's actually the correct use of the phrase. Okay, so here's a principle for all of you. A snake with a head, make it dead. There you go. You'll never be sorry. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, let's do another one. Please, breathe.
Therefore, as sin came into the world through one human, and death through sin, and so death spread to all men.
Yeah. Keep going, one more. Sorry, I just want to put this one. That's a terrible, you're done. Nate, sorry. Nate. It's not your fault, it's the screen thing. Nathan.
Yeah, definitely. Those sins were not like transgression of Adam. The one who was to come.
Like the transgression of who? Who sinned first? Not Eve. Adam. Well, where? I don't see that in here anywhere. It's fascinating. Okay. Now, so if Genesis 2, right? Genesis 1, God creates everything. Genesis 2, let's go back and look at day 6, especially how we get first Adam, and then he names animals, and then there's no helper found to remain before him. So then he takes the rib and makes Eve, and it's all super good. That's this side of this page. We turn the page and we start Genesis 3. Everything's already wrong. So somewhere on the edge of this page, everything went wrong. So it's a little bit like, you see this car, right? Hannah, what happened? It crashed into what? Yeah, see, no, that car just crashed. See Eve? Look at Eve. Wow, that's a disaster. What do you know? It didn't just get like that. Something else went wrong. Something went very wrong. Okay, so you start looking for, you're looking around, where's the skid marks? Where's the other, whatever went crash and made this happen to this car? Okay, how do you know something's gone wrong already? Why is the devil talking to Eve? How would the devil know to do that? Why would he do it? Why is he talking to Eve? And guys, would you let a snake talk to your girlfriend? No. Nope, not happening. Where did Eve get this? Neither shall you touch it. You remember? There's no Eve yet. That's important. There's no Eve. God's explained to Adam how everything works because Adam's responsibility is, that's his responsibility. Let me take care of you by explaining to you how creation works, how this universe works, okay? God says you can't eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, period. So where'd this come from? Neither shall you touch it. From Adam. Why did he add that? It's called the God complex. It's this model already at work. Any of you had older siblings? I did. They make up stuff that your parents didn't say? Yeah. See? Dirty rats. Why do they do that? Just jerk you around. They're just jerking you around. Why do math teachers assign you 50 math problems to do? Are you serious? 50? Okay. So, who else rejected what God said in favor of adding their own rules, their own laws on people? The Pharisees, Matthew 23, the Pharisees never minded the 10 commandments that God gave to them through Moses. Never mind, we don't care about that, right? The Pharisees invented 613 new rules for people to keep. Like what? Like no making mud on Saturday. That's important, isn't it? Nanami, you know what happens if people make mud on Saturday? A whole lot of bad gonna come. Yes, people start dying. It's horrible. Okay, but it's easy not to make mud on Saturday, so they could claim that they don't do that sort of a thing. Jesus shows up, you know what he does? Every Saturday he gets some water, start making mud just to kind of those guys off, and then he heals blind people with it. Okay, So Jesus unloads on these Pharisees in Matthew 23, and he talks about how you rejected what God had to say, describing how creation works, which is where life comes from, and instead you impose your own order on it, which is where death comes from. So remember, I was teaching you, or hoping to teach you, that there's always several ways to know if we have something right or not. Okay, one of them is that this is not what God told Adam. So it must have been Adam's invention. We see it elsewhere through the whole rest of the Bible. So a misunderstanding of the creature is that I could be the creator. And what's it mean to be God or to be the creator? It means to make rules that you impose on people. God never makes any rules that are imposition on us. God's only rules are rules that support your life, like the laws of nature. Those are God's laws. God makes laws that says fruit tree should make fruit and you should eat it. So there's nothing organic about the tree in the midst of the Garden of Eden that was called the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. It's not any different than any other tree, except God said, stay away from them. That's it. Okay? And that's not even the nature of the problem. The nature of the problem comes out here is that Adam adds to it, neither shall you touch it. Is it possible that the devil heard that? See, the devil's already made that mistake himself. The devil was an angel. That devil thinks, well, I could be God. I want to be God. I saw the Lion King. I'm like the little kid. I saw Megamind. Yeah, that looks good. I'm going to take over. Of course, but he can't. So now he's just mad about the whole thing. So how are you going to ruin what belongs to God? So even God doesn't want to be God anymore. Okay, well, let's see how we would ruin that. So he's watching, listening, thinking, and then he hears Adam say to Eve, neither shall you touch it. Isn't that his way in? I got it. Adam's already made the same mistake I made. So I don't even have to go to Adam to do this. I can go right to Eve because I already know what's gone wrong. Okay. Another example of that. Yeah. The New Testament says that the devil possessed Judas Iscariot and led him to betray Jesus. How did the devil know that that would work? Why Judas, not Peter? Peter made lots of mistakes. There's 11 other disciples. Why Judas Iscariot? Well, the narrative tells you that Judas Iscariot was in charge of the treasury, the money box for all of the apostles and Jesus. He got the money, and he used to take what was in it, right, for himself. Now, does that make sense? It does, Emily? Stealing from Jesus.
No, it doesn't make sense to steal, but
Say?
it doesn't make sense to steal, but it makes sense to Judas.
Why?
Thank
you. Why?
Because we just from understanding, we understand him as a person, we understand that he was very simple in the eyes of God because of how.
Was he more sinful than anybody else?
No,
So why did he go so bad? Why was he open? Why was it possible for the devil to possess him?
because he wasn't grounded in faith and he didn't truly act upon his faith.
We use the word truly, okay? This is a world of pretending, yes? This is the world of actual, okay? If you're pretending, the devil will know, yes? And now it's open season for you, okay? Now think about it. Let's say we're all Judas Iscariot, and we're hanging around with Jesus day after day for 3.5 years. What kinds of things does Jesus do every day? Well, he feeds people that are hungry from out of next to nothing. He walks on water. He stills storms. He raises the dead. He heals the sick. Is there ever anything that you could suffer from while you're hanging around with Jesus? So what do you want with the money? You see how he's missing the point? Okay, so that's what the devil notices. Judas doesn't get it. He's one of the apostles, and yet he's contrary to everything that Jesus is doing. So just like in Genesis in the beginning, what if the devil hears what Adam says, and he knows I can go right after the woman, okay? So it's kind of like the temptation to zip your zippers before class is over. All right, I know, but it's Friday. So I'm sympathetic with you. So on Monday, next week, we're gonna work our way through this text carefully. We're gonna get to the nature of what this thing called sin is, and then God's remedy for it will make more sense for us. So have a great weekend. And I'll see you on Monday.